Hey folks, we are going to continue working on the supplement Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. Give me a second here to check my signal. I'll shout out to the communities that I'm up and running, and then we'll throw some ink around for maybe 100 minutes. So mic check, 1 2 3. Mic check, 1 2 3. Mic check. It sounds like it's going through A-OK. Good. All right, so let me see. I'm going to post on the Twitter. I'll have a link up on Reddit later on today. But for now, I'm just going to hit my Discord communities real quick and just talk about myself here real fast, what it is that we're doing, and then we'll get into the work. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. I have been focusing my attention on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition since the release of the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica back in 2018-ish, I think. 2017 maybe? 20, man, somewhere around there. Anyway, there's a slew of links to different stuff that I've published before that are posted in the description down below. You can check out different works that I've made before. Currently, we are building out this new supplement for release on DMsGuild as well in early February called Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. Right now, we are stitching up the some of the maps and different stuff in the conversion guide we have for Light of Xaryxis. Here is the master document that we've been using. It's 107 pages. The first 80 some are variant mechanics for having ships at the 50 and 500 foot scale perform combat the same as flying creatures would at the 5 foot scale in a normal combat encounter, as well as all of the in the exploration, spell casting, hazards, creatures menagerie sections, fleshes out a lot of the exploration and spell casting chapters of the DMG and the player's handbook to take into account the idea of these large scales at 50 and 500 feet, as well as exploring space in the astral sea at 1 mile, 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, all the way up to 100 million miles per day, which is the amount of distance that a spelljamming ship can traverse in open space. And then there's the conversion. Then we have the first appendix, which is the wild space random system generator that we illustrated last week and a couple weeks before that. And now we are diving into the second appendix, which is the Light of Xaryxis conversion guide, using all of these combat and exploration and spellcasting mechanics to in the Light of Xaryxis adventure that is part of the box set for Spelljammer's Adventures in Space that Wizards of the Coast released in August 2022. So we added a ton of mechanics about how to make Spelljammer campaigns work more like a normal D&D campaign. And then we need to demonstrate how that works. The playtesting went fantastic. So once we do that, we hire an editor to help us make sure that the words are all good. And then, as you can see here, we break it up into individual ideas per page, and all of these gaps end up being illustrations that will drop into the document, seal it up into a PDF, and then publish it on DMsGuild. So we are currently going through the process. Just to cap all this off, you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. We've picked up more subscribers since yesterday, so thanks so much, folks, for being interested in the work that we're doing here. It really means a lot to me, and I hope that the stuff that I build adds a lot of value to your game in exchange. So you can check out all the work that I have. Picking up any of these is a great way to help foster more of this time invested to create these things. I've got a Discord community up and running that you can hang out at and play test the martial power system. You just saw that I have a Twitter. And if you don't want to buy any books, you're just here for the artwork, or you just want to throw me a tip, you could join up as a Patreon at the $1 level or greater if you wish. People that are members, paying members of my Patreon, have voting rights to the different things that we're going to design. Like, for example, later on today at lunchtime, in about 6 hours, we'll be back on. Yeah, about 6 hours feels right. Well, we'll be back on developing a Ravnica Simic hybrid monk in the Simic Combine using the martial power system. That, but specifically what type of monk it is that we will build is being determined by voters on my Discord and in my Patreon. And members on the Patreon, if they're paying members, they get extra votes so that their opinion matters more because they're investing in its production. So thanks a lot, guys, for checking this stuff out. Let's get into it. So we're currently working on some of the map assets for the Chaos and Doom Space Part 3 of the Light of Xaryxis adventure. So there's spoilers everywhere. Cheers. Let's see. Currently, I have two objectives right now. One is to get Vocaf's base to work in a ship scale combat grid, and my other objective is to grid Doomspace. So in the document that we're working on right now, bloop, get that out. That was episode 40. That book cover, no, episode 15. We created that book cover around episode 15. So if you're interested in seeing the creation of the book cover, here's the full playlist here. We have all prior 308 episodes of this trek over the past 14 months. August, September, October, November, December, 16 months, 17. We're in our 17th month of producing this thing. Jesus Christ. That was a lot longer than I expected it to take, but it ended up being a much bigger project than I anticipated. So my apologies to everyone that's been invested in creating this with me, that it's taken so long. But by God, it's turning out to be a really, really special piece. So I am thrilled to be producing this. Let's see. Meeting Vocath. Here's all the ships that are... Hold on. Here's the map. Notice that this is at the 20-foot grid size. And that it's... just to count this off with you. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 20. 2, 4, 6, 8, 30. 2, 4, 6, 8, 40. 2, 4, 6, 8... 50 times 10, 500. Does anyone else notice the irony that this base sits inside of a 500-foot space, which is the same size grid that we operate with ships, vessels that are traversing combat maps, also using 500-foot spaces? Hold on, real quick. Let's get down. Let's look at this one specifically. Here's our different combat scale. 5-foot scale you're familiar with, where you can dump troops onto the deck of a ship, right? And then here's your 50-foot scale, where we got fighter craft fitting inside of one square at the 50-foot scale, and then like a Star Moth, for example, which are all over the place in Light of Xaryxis. Fit in a 4x4 space, like a gargantuan-sized space, but at the 50-foot scale, for you to be able to engage in melee combat on your ship. And then you get the 500-foot scale for ranged combat, which is out of melee reach for most ships. So this is a 500-foot scale here that we're looking at, a 500-foot scale grid, and this Citadel of Light, which is the final battle in Light of Xaryxis. It's in a 10x10 space, so this asteroid sits inside of a 1-mile square space. You can see here with this larger scale grid here surrounding it. If we were to scale out again to the 1-mile scale, then we would be able to have this whole thing sit inside one square here, and this entire fleet would be able to sit in one side square here, and this entire fleet would be able to sit inside of one square here. So this could be a 3x1 mile stretch right here, and it would encompass this entire battle here. So scaling in and out, zooming in and out of scale during combat in adventure is super useful. So, hey Bill, how you doing? So we're going to, we're working on Vocath's base in the third section or the third part of Light of Xaryxis. So what we want to do is, the way that this thing is described is, we've got 8 docks, one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then here's the 8th dock, which is Vocaths. And there's ships occupying each dock, except for 7 and 3, which are open for the characters. Like they describe in here that the Last Breath, Garganhael, the Vampirate ghost ship, would land at 7, and then the living ship, the Second Wind, would land at dock 3. So, but this is occupying 25 squares at the 20-foot scale, so this is a 500-foot space that this base occupies. So I don't need to have, I don't need to detail this. You already get the map of this. If you bought Spelljammer's Adventures in Space, you got this adventure with it automatically. And so I don't need to detail the arena and your individual interactions with Vocath. That remains unchanged at the 5-foot scale and can proceed as normal. However, during the course of you being here, a fleet of 12 Star Moths show up so that the bad guy can throw his weight around and be presented as a threat for the team to now have a grudge against in the final 4th act. So what we want to do is, since this conveniently sits inside of a 500-foot space, what we're essentially going to do is take a 3x3 grid here and place it in this space. Like this is a square space that we have. So I want to have a 3x3 grid, have this base occupying just one square on that grid, and then since there's going to be ships that are docked at each of these except for 3 here and here, if we have the 500-foot scale occupying one space here, when you're zooming out to the 500-foot scale, we would have one ship occupying space here, one here, one here, one here, which is Vocath's ship. This one and this one will be open space where your ship can park and Garganhael's ship can park here. And then you'd have 8 ships surrounding the base that's here. So that's what we're depicting here. Right now, I am wondering why my system is so hiccupy. So I've been cleaning up this map. So I'm going to spend a little time on cleanup. Let's see. How do I want to do this? I'm just going to make sure things sit pretty. Perfectionism is allowed. How you doing, Bill? There. And now I can... let's go with cleaner take. Duplicate, free transform, flip vertical. Oh, right on. Good luck, my dude. Killing gods. Gotta love it. Let's go with free transform. Bum, bum, bum. Duplicate, free transform, flip horizontal. Look at that, just lined up very, very nicely. Cool, now we can bond all these down, merge layers. How do I want to do this? Let's go with, let's drop this down in opacity, get to here, and let's use our square as a reference. How big is that? 1,000 pixels? Could do 900. I'm trying to get something divisible by 3. So if we do a 300 by 300 pixel space, it would fit a little smaller than this. So line that up like that. We could do 999 and then have a 333 square grid apiece. A 1 pixel line to separate the mass, or we could have 1002 and then have 1 by 1 pixel, so it would be, why is my brain melting on that? 334. Okay. Let's go with, yeah, let's do that. There, and then we select all. And now we'll go into select, and then we will modify to contract the size that's selected by 1, and then delete it. And then select all, copy, paste. There. So there's a perfect grid. And we can then duplicate that layer. And no, I said duplicate, not delete, you goob. My goobian. Burp. Ba-da-ba-do. Merge. Duplicate. Duplicate. Not bad. And then we can take the text. right? So these ships that we're working with here. There we go, docks. Okay, so dock 1 has a Shrike ship. A Shrike ship is 130 feet long, 20 feet wide, occupies a 3x3 space at the 50-foot scale. So if we put a Shrike ship, which is here, 130 feet would be, if this was a 10x10 grid, let's go find our map. Where is it? Here. So 130 feet, right? That would be, if these are 20 squares each, that'd be 7 squares. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this long here that could fit here if we zoomed in. But if we don't zoom in, we can't pile 8 tokens into the same space. So we want to do some meta thinking and have the ships surrounding the space that this occupies. Like the largest ship that's here is going to be Garganhale's Space Galleon, which is 130 feet, which is divided by 20. That's going to be 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's too big to fit on the dock, so it's going to have to push off the end of the dock out here into space, right? But even more so, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's at dock number 4? Which is a space galleon, right? So we have a space galleon that has to hang its ass off the end of this dock or park sideways, which is potentially clumsy. It could be done, but then when we get to here, this is where the first dock is. Here's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then this one is number 8. So it has a damselfly, which is about 100 some odd feet, 80 feet long. So that's going to be hanging out like this. And then you've got a space galleon that's supposed to be parked here. So these guys are going to be bumping heads into each other. So when we're depicting this, like especially here and as well as here, it's better to just have them occupying individual squares. And then when you zoom in, you get rid of the grain, like the ultra granular effect of occupying these squares, and to be able to zoom in. But then when we later on look at the when the Xaryxian fleet arrives, we'll be able to do this again and then zoom out again to see how the star moths will be able to surround the facility. So right now, I just want to make sure that I think I can get the star moths. I can get this map, the star moths, and start working on the Doom Space System map today, and probably have the Doom Space System map done tomorrow. And I might need to have a zoomed in map for just the moons of N, where all the adventure, like the entire Doom Space, the only thing that the team does is show up to the moon of Arun, which is 3 days away from this place. But this Vodcast base is the only place that you really actually spend any time in the adventure at. So the full system is kind of a waste. all the different moons are a waste, but they're there that you can populate with stuff to have additional homebrew side quests inside of it. And I think there's actually some products on DMsGuild that offers side quests on each of the moons of N for the players to explore while they're in Doomspace if you're interested in that kind of content. Once this thing's published, it'd be kind of fun to potentially tie into a bundle with some of that stuff. So here is this. Is this more? Let's just go grab here. So what do we need? We need a Shrike ship, a lamprey, space galleon. These might be large enough for us to fit inside the space. If this isn't accommodating, then I will be able to go just pull them out of the token sheet. But they're all consolidated here. It's a lower weight. It's a lower memory usage. So I'm just pulling them from here. Space galleon, wasp, scorpion, damselfly, and living ship. There we go. So I can take these, I can duplicate those layers into Appendix 2, LOX. I don't need this anymore. Hey, Timely Timer. Thank you for keeping time. Oh, yeah, this will work out just fine. This will probably be just fine. Don't need you anymore. Thank you for your service. Or do I instead want to grab tokens? Let's just grab tokens. Thank you. Damselfly, lamprey, scorpion, shrike, space, wasp, living ship. And duplicate these instead. Take these into Appendix 2. We're fine here. Cool. Let's see. We take the damselfly. We put it here. I'll have to resize these a bit. Where's the lamprey? Oh, shit. I still need that. Yeah, I'm going to have to peel that open again. Let's get rid of you real quick. Nope. Let's go back to ship grid because it has all the numbers. We want those numbers. These little numbers become useful because we can overlay them onto the dock positions So let's go. Let's go fetch. Bludgeoning ram. Oh yeah. Okay. So go up here to dots. Go to the hammer ship. Duplicate that layer. Appendix 2. I know this isn't the most sexy work, but this is necessary. We need what? 2, 3, and 5. Two. So let's go to the Night Spider. Three and 5. I don't know if this is entertaining or not. It's what we got to do, though. And Wasp, there it is. And I don't want to. I mean, this is where we're at right now in the project. So this is what's got to get done. So I either do this on screen or I just don't do screen. This seems more entertaining than not doing something. So here we are. There we go, start 'em off. And then I'm just doing busy work that doesn't help us actually achieve our goal. So I think, how do I want to do this? I could just center line like that. It's not a horrible idea. See, that's kind of meta because it's not actually lining up with where the dock is at. Maybe instead I do like this. Here's a fun conundrum. Or do I reduce the size of the dots so that they're more accommodating? Let's duplicate. Duplicate the layer. Because this is the font size that we're dealing with. And these things are the same, are actually a little bit bigger. Blah, 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 bigger. What's your favorite ship in Spelljammer? What's my favorite ship in Spelljammer? Man, fuck, that's a great question. My favorite ship isn't published in 5th edition. It's the Armada. Here, allow me to distract myself with a tangent here real quick since you asked. Vessels. I think it appears in here. The Armada is a carrier ship. So you got the Star Moth, which looks like a butterfly. The Flitter, which also looks like a butterfly, but is only 50. Like the Star Moth is 200 feet long. A Flitter is 50 feet. The Armada is 500 feet. It's a carrier craft. You can cram on. Technically, you can cram on. You can get 100 flitters to occupy the space. Hold on. Oh crap! It's not in this one. It's actually in the craft. So equals no. Let me go fetch that real quick so you can take a look at it. Tokens. Ships. Craft. Bam. Here's an illustration from 2nd edition. This is what the Armada looks like. And this is the scale that it actually sits in as a footprint. So this is work that I've been doing so far. And here is the size of a... this is the size that a flitter is depicted at on the map here. But in reality, with the 50-foot scale here, and a 500... each one of these squares is 50 feet. So this is representing them as, in the original 2nd edition, I think the flitters were like 20 some odd feet long, but I built them out as like little yachts. So, I'm on a carrier. There we go. So using the statistics that we've been using in our conversion supplement. There. This would be the actual size at the 50-foot scale of where a flitter would be able to fit on this carrier. This castle structure here, you can see at the 50-foot scale that this thing is basically occupying a 150-foot by 150-foot space on the top of the structure. Actually, 2x2. It's like somewhere between, it's like a 2x3. It's like, it would be like basically occupying this space here, right? This here. Occupy, yeah, so it's basically a 2x, so it's basically like a 100-foot tower, but it's got all of this extra mass inside of it that could be bulking out something like this size. So it's huge. It's fucking huge. And it can carry a ton of these little flittercraft on it. So it one spelljamming helm. This is the maximum size that a single spelljamming helm is capable of empowering with flight. So you could drop one of these things in here somewhere, and be able to haul these little flitters. You could put a normal spelljamming helm on there. But a spelljamming helm is 5,000 gold, or you could build one of these small fighter craft and put a 500 gold miner helm. And a miner helm only goes 1,000,000 miles per day. It has a top speed of 100 miles per round, which is nothing in comparison to the 10,000 miles per round that a major spelljammer helm can do. But again, you can only engage in combat up to a mile away. So both of these spelljamming helms are capable of closing distance far faster than you can actually engage in combat at a realistic level. So you can have one of these things roll in, get up into pursuit onto whatever ship it wants to chase down, and then it can just dump as many flitter fighter craft as it wants to occupy space with its target, and just be able to flood it with troops and damage. So there's also a dwarven citadel. That's just basically a giant mountain that sits inside of a 500-foot space. And then there's ogre mammoth, which are basically like they're basically like giant hockey pucks, like elongated like oval type hockey puck things with a head of a mammoth with like a massive battering ram at the front of it. But it's designed to be a carrier for goblin arrows, which are like 15-foot. Hold on, I'll show you the goblin arrow. Here, these little things, 15 feet by 15 feet, these are designed to be carried by an ogre mammoth. So the ogre mammoth is in the greenskin, the Skro armada is in 2nd edition lore is diametrically opposed to the elves. So it's elves versus orcs. It's the classic battle, and then the dwarves have their massive carrier, have their mountains. Basically, they'll show up into an asteroid and they'll start carving and hollowing out the asteroid until they clean out all resources from it, and then they ditch it, and it's just a hollowed out shell. So you'll find these drifting asteroids with like the faces of dwarves, or like a hammer or whatever. These used to be dwarven. These dwarven citadels are living mines that they can then empower to move where they need them to be able to drop off or gain more supply, like drop off resources or gain more supplies. But by far, the Armada is my favorite, just because I like the shape. I'm not necessarily happy with the shape of this. I think I can do a better job with it. It's a rough draft, but one of the first things I'm going to do once this actual book publishes is build out the Armada, build out the Ogre, and build out Dwarven Citadels to have these massive scale ships be introduced into the game using the system that I use. But yeah, it's a carrier ship. I fucking love carriers. I think they're cool. Battlestar Galactica, stuff like that. That's a fun genre of game. Like that space opera sort of effect where you have this massive structure as your home, and then you have ships that can come and go from it to go off to do adventures and then come back to a home base. In a campaign like an elven war campaign, you could have characters that start off as Star Moth or flitter pilots, and as they ascend rank in the organization, they eventually take command of their own armada. Monarch. They're actually called monarchs, but there's armadas and there's monarchs. There's two different formats that they have in different books. But the monarch butterfly, as opposed to the flitter or the star moth. So you have those three sizes: 500 foot, 200 foot, 50 foot scale. And you have like little rocket cycles that can be like 10 feet in size. But yeah, Armada for sure, favorite, bar none. Super fucking cool flavor. It's just the things that you can do with it are just, there's no limit to the cool crap you could potentially do with that stuff. So let's reduce size. That suddenly becomes manageable. Cool, here we am. You found it. Let's get the edge of the circle kissing the edge. Perfect. Also pretty damn good. Now you got me geeking out over armadas. God damn, I love those ships. Damn. There. Very good. Yeah, this totally jives. That's pretty perfect. For things that are smaller in scale, oh man, I think I like the aesthetics of the Scorpion because it's got those claws and it's got the top deck, it's got the tail gun. That's fun stuff, and it warps its gravity plane so that you can run on either side of its tail upside down, like that on the tip of the tail. I think that's super fun. The tip of the tail that's all the teeth. The tip of the tail that's all the teeth. The tip of the tail that's all the teeth. Okay, I can actually make these a little larger. There. Not the most exciting work, I know. That's why it's work. Because it's not all fun to do this stuff. People like to think, you know, if like you're an artist or something, if you can make the bank, if you can get the bag to do the thing, it's all fun. But a lot of it is production work, which isn't creative at all. Like this is technically this is like this is a layout design. So this exists in a pseudo space between creativity and production. But like packaging and like descriptive information about a product page, that stuff is, I hate doing that crap. And I know my adversity to doing the administrative stuff is a limit on my ability to reach escape velocity from my day job. But I don't like doing production work, like at all. So I fight it. There, that's better. If I can overcome that hurdle, then I'll be able to propel myself much further into actually accumulating wealth, which I really, really should be prioritizing. Let's just be completely frank about that. We'll go with base. Thank you. There. No, that's not right. Where's the wasp supposed to be at? Wasp is 5. Damselfly. I guess I'll just go through these in order. Damselfly number 7 is empty, so that will eventually have a space galleon in it. I need to do, I think, some different decoration for Gargan Hill's ghost ship. Hey, text over there. I'll get to you in a second. The centipede eel ship would be cool. There are eels. I think they're like around 150 feet long. But yeah, there is the tsunami is a Forgotten Realms. There's a nation in Forgotten Realms called the Wu. It's from the Oriental Adventures era of D&D, and they have the tsunami is a segmented, like every 50 feet is a separate segment. It's like 200. It's like 600 feet long, I think. And it can curl around as well, and it has little locust ships that are little fighter craft, like 15, 20-foot fighter craft that it has clipped on, like 2 or 3 per 50-foot segment. So it has a head where the helm is at, and it's got this snaking 50-foot 50-foot segments that strung out. So yeah, it's those do exist in the game. Let's see. Number 7 is empty. 6 is the Scorpion ship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's grab our Scorpion. I know we have it. Why am I not finding it in the... There it is. Jesus. Base. Yeah, base is last. Space Galleon is 7. Scorpion is 6. Damselfly is 8. What's number 5? Wasp is 5. 4 is Space Galleon as well. 3 is Lamprey. 2 is Living Ship is 2, and then 1 is Shrike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So I'll take the Shrike. And we'll take the Living Ship. No, wait. Lamprey is 2. Yeah. 1, 2, and then 3 is our duplicate. 4. 1, 2. 5 is the Wasp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Get rid of the grids that are underneath them. We don't need the grids for this because we're not on a standalone. We're just in a representational map. So we don't need to break down the grid size necessarily. Although, I mean, having the grid there isn't necessarily a bad idea to keep a sense of scale. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it could. It would be able to wrap around other ships that using like tentacle mechanics. That would be awesome. That is a fun idea that I think I would enjoy exploring. So I'll do the Armada, or I'll do the Monarch, and then the Dwarven Citadel, and then the Ogre Mammoth, and then I could consider doing the Tsunami from there. Yeah, ain't a bad idea. maybe we have these things sit as they actually would. Like this would actually be sitting like this in this space, right? I mean, do I need to be that accurate? It doesn't hurt. Like the wasp would be shaping, facing the opposite direction. Because this is an offloading ramp. I love that. I love that about the Wasp. It's such a cool ship. I love the damselflies too. These are really fucking fun little craft. They're really good. The Wasp and the damselfly are really good combat ships for adventuring parties that are space savvy. Yeah, I'm still working on the text. Like I need to include in here. Let's go down to that part of the chapter. I just kind of glossed over this. Didn't think it was important. Like it wasn't a combat encounter. Initially I was only thinking I'm only going to do the combat encounters. Like things are actually going to fight, actual battles. Let's go. But as we dive further and further into this, and I come back and I visit this, I'm like, you know what? Like depicting scale and all that stuff is like super useful, and it's just too coincidental that like that his base sits inside of a 500 foot. It sits in a 500 foot space. That's just, I just think that's awesome. Docks that ring the base at positions 1 through 8 are 20 feet wide, are each 20 feet wide. But the size of the ships present are but mini, many of the ships present are too large to fit in the same, are too large to occupy the same 500-foot space as the base in the position depicted. How am I wording this? The docks that ring the base at positions 1 through 8 are each 20 feet wide, but many of the ships present are too large, to occupy the same 500-foot space as the base. While aligned with the gravity plane. So each is depicted. So each occupies an adjacent 500-foot space surrounding the square occupied. Occupies a separate 500-foot square surrounding the base. As described in LOX, the second wind can dock, land at dock at position 2, and the last breath can dock at position 7. Caviar and cigarettes, well versed in etiquette, extraordinarily nice. She's a killer. I don't know why I'm singing that. Locks. What is this? Page 19. Options. Current page, document. Dot. Okay. Publish. Page. Close. File. Open. Production. Interior pages. Locks. Page 19. Click. Open. TXT. Oops. There, like that, like that. There. TXT. No, no, no. There. Now I can safely stitch that shut, pull the whole thing down. That feels about right. Take your text. Boom. Man, it feels about right. Where are we at? It's only 7:30. That's great. Well, we're not going to get as much done today as I thought, but that's okay. Here. The base is currently 300 million miles from Arun and occupies a single square at the 500-foot scale as depicted in the map below. The docks that ring the base at positions 1 through 8 are each 20 feet wide, but many of the ships present are too large to occupy the same 500-foot space as the base, while aligned are too large to while aligned with the gravity plane at the end of the dock. While aligned with the gravity plane, occupy the same 500-foot space as the base while aligned with the gravity plane at the end of the dock. At the end of the docks. So each occupies a separate 500-foot space. Each ship, each vessel is depicted as occupying a separate adjacent 500-foot square surrounding the base. There we go. And that added a line. So we'll just do that to be able to denote the added space. Push this down accordingly. And that effectively takes care of this column. I might not need to have meeting Volkov down here. I'm still sussing that out. Let's see. This actually in the threat. sussing things out. Give me a sec. That's good. I want to center these things up so they fit proper. Yeah, I think I'm okay with them leaving them at different sizes. When it's technically not accurate anyway. Maybe I want to make them bigger anyway. Scorpion, living, damsel. Really good work, Kearney. Very, very nice. Oh, I don't need to do that. We can go with living ship. There we go. I could get super specific about like precise size, but if I went with precise sizing, the scorpion ship is only 20 feet wide, so it would like be as big as this 6, like this number 6 here. That is how small this scorpion ship is, but that's a lot smaller than what these galleys and the wasp are, and they would extend off into the adjacent square. So regardless of how I frame this, I'm going to have something dropping out of that 500-foot space. So I may as well depict all of them as such. And the math is just too perfect, the way that they describe it with the 8 points. So I'm pretty happy with that, TBH. And then we have the Xaryxian fleet, so I'll need to add language to that. So we'll call this left. And then we'll make a duplicate of it. We'll call that right. And we'll end up needing to reduce the size of this to accommodate the fleet. So when the Xaryxian fleet, the Xaryxian threat, when they arrive, There's 12 ships. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can do a 5x5 grid surrounding this and then reducing the scale. Yeah, that's what we should be doing right now. Okay. And I now realize I should not have destroyed that layer. Oh well, we can still do it this way. Let's go to... You know what? It's just easier to do it this way. Let's take... let's do it like that. Merge down. Down. One, two, three, four, five. Perfect. Straight. Good. Stay in your border. Start them off. Well, aren't you just conveniently located next to where I need to be? Duplicate to Appendix 2. Where's the rest of you? Oh, wrong layer. Let's try that again. These are dots. More dots, more dots. No, I want Star Moth. Duplicate. There we go. Dumpa-dumpa-ba-ba. So that's where all the ships are at. And then we go down here to... Arena battles. Zealous big entrance. There we go. Discord and diplomacy. The Xaryxian threat. Chaotic evil. Blah, blah, blah. Young solar dragon. Blah, blah, blah. Star Moth. Fleet. The Star Moths form a ring around the base while staying 200 feet away from it. One of 12 Star Moths surrounding Vocast base. So we need 12 Star Moths surrounding the base. So logically 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 equals 12. If we wanted to, we could escalate it to be 16, but why bother? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's no way for us to be able to evenly space them, so we may as well just lean into the flaw of it. To their credit, to Wizards' credit, they don't intend for you to fight these ships. Transform, flip, vertical. There. Hey, how about that? And it's 7:54. So that's it for today. Well, we hit our primary objective of getting these two maps resolved, and that is sufficient enough to be able to drop these onto a tabletop to be able to play out. If the characters decide to attack Zealous fleets, use non-player characters such as blah 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 to make it clear that doing so would be tantamount to suicide. See, they really just want to make this a social encounter and not allow you to engage in combat because, you know, as they say, it's quote unquote suicide. And to be fair, it probably would be. I mean, there's a lot. You're outnumbered. You're not properly positioned, so they'd all have to board the ships to then be able to fight. And it would take a number of rounds for them to be able to do that. Meanwhile, they're going to get pummeled with weapon fire until each ship is destroyed. But we wanted to depict it anyway. So that's where we're at so far. And I'm going to be, this evening when I'm off screen, I'll be working on finishing out this page. And then we'll move on to the next one. So tomorrow morning, we'll be here in the Chaos of Doom space, and the Wild Space system will be using this space here to build out it'll be a 13 by 13 square at the 100 million miles per square. Actually, I think it's going to be, it'll have to be a 14 by 14 to be able to depict everything that needs to be. No, it'd be a 15 by 15. I can't do even numbers. It has to be an odd number to be able to depict the system. So it'd be a 15 by 15 grid map, and whether I show the entire thing or just a segment of it, that's what we're going to figure out to see how we can best fit into this, accommodate the system and everything that we need to see in the system into this space. And I guess as our capstone for the day, we've got this gap here, so let's go grab tokens. No, that's creatures, NPCs. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Do not need equals do not save. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Fucking perfect, Kearney. God. My spatial recognition is getting so strong. So there's Warwick. So that's the space that Warwick occupies on the page. So throughout the document, we've got these gaps. Like Rutilage Win is the pilot of the last breath. Agony is the ghost. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 8-line tall gap here in this space. It's the same space that we have occupied here with Warwick. So each and all throughout the document, like over here, the last breath, we'll be able to put the ship icon here, and then the ballista icon, the mangonel icon, the harpoon flinger icon. We can scroll up here. There's my timer. Thank you. We'll put a Kandori token here for the space whales. Hastan is the Rieger that attacks, and then its duplicate will be a reverse image of the same token. It's so cheeky. Then we have a skiff here, and then the harpoon flinger. The second one, here we go. So like we have a spot here for Starbow, the Trent. And then we have a spot here for Commodore Crux, a space here for Mr. Finch, and then Fel Adra, the co-pilot. All those fit in that same space that we have occupying here. So throughout the document, we'll be able to have the tokens for each character and what they're doing, and all the creatures that we're engaging with in here. We'll have them positioned throughout the document. And this is how I can get away with not having to add any additional illustrations to this section, because I can use all the ship tokens, maps, and creature tokens and NPC tokens that we built out in like episode 80 to 120 of our stream here. If you go down here into our the full playlist here, you can see where all the creature tokens are being designed. Those are the illustrations that we're now using to populate the page. You see how that works? So that's so all I have to really do is get the text resolved, which sadly I've got gaps in the text. But all these pages that we have, this is a 25-page document currently, but all of these gaps, like we have the system map here, and then the combat map here. There's 3 asteroid maps for the Neogi fight here, and we have all the tokens for all the Neogi and the Umber Hulk and all the characters and all that stuff. All of these pages, it's already, I mean, we still have some work to do on the map, but all the illustrations are essentially already done for this. Right now, I'm just locking down the language that I need. And then just like here, we can just drop the tokens into position throughout the document to occupy these spaces. So that would resolve all the visual elements that we need for the conversion guide, which is why we did all that work at the front end of this to get this thing going. So when we got to this point, once we resolve all the text, we can just drop the tokens and pick up and then drop back into the document and then stitch it into the PDF and then publish it. So there is a flow and process, and most of the work is already done. Now it's just like these little fiddly bits, like building this this rosebud of a map of ships. Like these are the little fidgety things that I still need to do over the next 2 weeks for us to get this thing published by the 13th, which I believe is a realistic goal at this point. I might be able to get it done sooner than that, but the 31st, a couple of days, like 4 or 5 days from now, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it'd be great if I could, but I'm allowing myself to slide back to mid-February just to make sure I can get all this stuff done. So I'll have to flesh out the Gargan Hill fleet here and push that down the page. But yeah, that's what, like if I end up eating up a paragraph that size, it would fit in a space like this. That would pretty much cash out this page. So now it's just really a matter of like which is why I'm doing this, even though the text isn't done. I need to see how much space the visual assets need to occupy on the page, so I know how much function area I have left over for me to be able to then like go in here and detail the Xaryxian threat. Do I need to add any details about meeting Vocath, or can I actually skip that and then move on to the next page, which is assembling the fleet? So the next thing I'll need to do is flesh out all the details about the 6 different, there's 9 squadrons across 6 factions. So we'll be able to, and then we have to talk about like how to journey from Doom space to Xarax space. So we have, on this page, we have to fit the stats and the mapping for each of the squadrons that your characters can take command of. So the stats should easily be able to fit in this space. And then if we use a smaller grid size, we should be able to fit all the squadrons here. But if we have to, we could push this astral information up here at the top of the page and then use this entire bottom half of the page to build out the squadrons at whatever size they need to be depicted on the map, and then use whatever space is remaining to flesh out and minimize the stats that are needed to be able to create the fleet. So like we have an example of a squadron already in the document. I think it's here. Here you go. It's like this is all the information you really need for a squadron. Just this little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 7. Yeah, like this is a squadron stat block. And then from here, it's just talking about like specific weapons that are in it. We don't have to dive into specific weapon detail because we're not going to be engaging. For the most part, we're not engaging these the vessels that we're messing around with. We're not engaging them on the individual level. In the battle, we're engaging them at the fleet scale, which is here essentially. Like this is what we'd be looking at, or we would zoom in and we'd be looking at this. So, but we flesh all that out in the 4th act, in the like page 21 through 25. But anyway, that's where we're at. I am out of time for the day. We're going to keep hammering away at this. Some of this stuff I'm going to do on screen. Some of this stuff I'm not. It just depends on what needs to be done. So you'll be seeing broken bits of stream from here on forward, depending on what specifically it is that I'm working on today. So we'll be bouncing from document to document. But in the meantime, in about 4.5 hours, I'll be back to build a Simic Monk. We'll be checking our poll results on my Patreon and my Discord channel, both of which are linked down here. You can check out if you want to join and have a vote on what type of monk we build for the Simic Combine. Awesome. Happy to have you. I'm out for now. I'll be back in 4 hours, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue doing assets like this as well. So, Bill, hey man, thanks a lot for hanging out. It's so far so good, my guy. We're coming along. So thanks for being here and being interested. I really appreciate it. Laters.